The little girl had eyes that looked too old for her face. Yoon Ji-ho noticed that first. He'd been reviewing security footage from the 14th floor when he spotted her, a small figure in a pink jacket sitting outside conference room C at 2 in the morning. A child, in his building, during the graveyard shift. He left his office immediately. The elevator ride down felt longer than usual. Ji-ho ran through possibilities. Security breach, hostage situation, some idiot's idea of leverage. His hand moved to his phone, ready to call his team, but something made him pause. The way the girl sat, legs swinging, a coloring book spread across her lap. She didn't look scared. She looked tired. When the elevator doors opened, she looked up. "Hello," she said, her Korean careful and practiced, like she'd been learning it one word at a time. Ji-ho studied her. 7, maybe 8 years old. Dark skin, hair in 2 puffs, tied with yellow ribbons. The coloring book showed half-finished butterflies. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Waiting for my mommy. She's working." "At 2 in the morning?" "She works the night. We don't have anyone to watch me, so I come with her sometimes." The girl tilted her head. "Are you going to tell on us? The mean lady on the phone said if Mommy brings me again, she'll fire her." Ji-ho felt something cold settle in his chest. He knew exactly who the mean lady was. Manager Kwon, head of operations, his inherited problem from the previous regime. "Where's your mother now?" "Cleaning the big offices upstairs. She told me to stay here and be quiet." The girl's voice dropped to a whisper, and this is when Ji-ho's world shifted. "My mommy is sick, but she still works. She was crying this morning because her hands hurt and she couldn't open the medicine bottle. I had to help her." The whisper carried weight, sadness, fear, things no child should have to carry. "Why doesn't she rest?" Ji-ho heard himself ask. "Because the mean lady said, if Mommy doesn't come today, we'll have no money. Mommy called and said she's sick, but the lady said she doesn't care." The girl looked down at her coloring book. "Mommy thought I was sleeping, but I heard her crying in the bathroom." Ji-ho stood very still. In his world, people didn't cry. They schemed, they threatened, they negotiated. Crying was weakness, but this child spoke about her mother's tears like they were pieces of broken glass she had to carefully step around. "What's your name?" "Nala. My mommy's name is Amma. She's the best mommy. Even when she's sick. Nala, stay here. I'm going to find your mother." He didn't wait for a response. His mind was already moving, pulling up the cleaning schedule from memory. Night shift, 14th floor and above. He took the stairs, faster than the elevator, his expensive shoes making sharp sounds against concrete. He found her on the 16th floor. She was leaning against the wall outside the executive washroom, breathing hard, one hand pressed to her chest. A cleaning cart sat abandoned nearby, supplies scattered like she'd stumbled. When she heard his footsteps, her head snapped up, and fear flashed across her face. She was young, late 20s, maybe 30. Pretty, even with exhaustion carving lines around her eyes. She tried to straighten up, tried to look professional, but her hands shook. I'm sorry," she said immediately, her accent thick with panic. "I just needed a minute. I'll finish everything, I promise. Please don't report me." "You brought your daughter to work." Her face went pale. Not just pale, ashen, like he'd just signed her death warrant. "Please." The word broke. "Please, I had no choice. My neighbor who watches her is in the hospital, and I couldn't miss tonight. I can't afford to lose this job. She's quiet. She won't bother anyone. She just sits and colors and waits for me. Please." Ji-ho watched her, really watched her. The way she swayed slightly, like standing, took effort. The way her uniform, 2 sizes too big, hung off her frame. The way her eyes held that same ancient tiredness her daughter's did. "You're sick," he said. I'm fine. You're not. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. Resignation, maybe. Or just bone-deep exhaustion. No, she admitted. I'm not fine. But I can't afford to be sick. So I'm here. What's wrong with you? Does it matter? Answer the question. She stared at him, and for a moment he thought she'd refuse. Then she laughed, bitter and small. Lupus. My immune system attacks my body. Some days are okay. Today is not okay. But Manager Kwan doesn't care about okay or not okay. She cares about the bathrooms being cleaned and the floors being mopped. So here I am. Jiho felt anger, sharp and clean, cut through him. Manager Kwan. Again. What's your name? Ama Mensa. The name tickled something in his memory, something old. But before he could place it, she stumbled, and he moved without thinking, catching her elbow. She flinched at his touch. I need to finish, she said. I have 3 more floors. You can barely stand. Then I'll clean sitting down. Her voice hardened. Look, I don't know who you are, but unless you're here to fire me, I need to work. My daughter needs to eat. Our rent is due in 5 days. I don't have the luxury of sick days. Who told you that you don't have sick days? Manager Kwan. She said I used them all up already. How many sick days have you taken this year? 2. 2 days in, how many months? I've been here 6 months. Jiho pulled out his phone. 2 clicks, and he had her employment file open. His organization might be criminal, but it kept immaculate records. Had to, for the money laundering to work. Ama Mensa. Employee number 8743. Night shift cleaner. Hired 6 months ago. And right there in her file, 0 sick days used. 0. You haven't taken any sick days, he said. What? According to your file, you've taken 0 sick days, which means Manager Kwan lied to you. Ama's face did something complicated. Shock, anger, hurt, all mixed together. Why are you telling me this? Who are you? Before Jiho could answer, his phone buzzed, his head of security. He answered. Sir, we found a child on 14. Should we remove her? No, Jiho said. She's with me. Stand down. He hung up. Ama was staring at him now, really seeing him for the first time. Her eyes widened. You're, she started, then stopped. You're him. The owner. Yes. If you're enjoying this story so far, drop a comment and let me know what you think is going to happen next. I read every single one, and your theories always surprise me. Now let's see how deep this goes. I'm fired, Ama whispered. No. I brought my daughter to your building at 2 in the morning. You had no choice. That won't matter. It matters to me. Jiho pocketed his phone. Come with me. We're going to have a conversation. I need to finish cleaning. The floors can wait. This can't. He started walking, not checking if she followed. He heard her after a moment, gathering her cart, her steps slow and pained behind him. They took the elevator down to 14 where Nala still sat, coloring. When Nala saw her mother, her face lit up. Mommy, I met a nice man. He didn't tell on us. Ama's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back hard. Jiho gestured to his private office. Inside. Ama hesitated, then took Nala's hand and followed. His office was exactly what people expected. Clean lines, expensive everything, a view of Seoul that looked like scattered diamonds. But he didn't care about any of that right now. He cared about the woman who sank into the chair like her legs had finally given up, and the little girl who climbed into her lap and hugged her carefully, like she knew where it hurt. Tell me the truth, Jiho said, sitting across from them. Why are you really here? In Seoul, in this building, working a job you're overqualified for while sick. Ama's jaw tightened. How do you know I'm overqualified? Your application said you have a master's degree in public health. You should be working in a hospital or research center, not cleaning toilets at 2 in the morning. Korean companies don't recognize my Ghanaian degree, and I can't afford the certification process to validate it, so I clean. That's not the whole truth. Amma looked at Nala, then back at him. Can we speak privately? Jiho called his assistant. Min Jun appeared in 30 seconds. Efficient as always. Take Nala to the break room. Get her whatever she wants. Hot chocolate, snacks. Put on a movie. Nala looked at her mother. Amma nodded. It's okay, baby. I'll be right here. When the door closed, the temperature in the room dropped. I came to Seoul looking for answers, Amma said quietly. About what? About my husband. There it was. The thing Jiho's instincts had been screaming about since he heard her name. Your husband. Kwame Mensah. He came to Seoul 8 years ago. He was a journalist, investigating a story about corruption and real estate fraud. He called me once, and he said he found something big, something that would change everything. Her voice went flat. 3 days later, the Korean consulate called me. They said he was dead. Heart attack. They said his body was cremated according to Korean protocol, and his ashes would be sent home. But they never were. Amma's head snapped up. How did you know that? Because I'm starting to remember his name, Kwame Mensah. File 247, an employee who died on premises 8 years ago. Jiho stood, moved to his computer. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Before I took over this organization, the previous leadership kept files, lots of files, things I inherited, and never fully audited because I was too busy consolidating power and eliminating threats. He found it. File 247, Kwame Mensah. Date of death 8 years ago. Cause, a cardiac arrest, body disposition, cremated, ashes sent to family in Accra, Ghana. He turned the screen toward Amma. Is this your husband? The photo was grainy, an ID badge picture, but Amma made a sound like she'd been punched. That's him, she breathed. That's Kwame. The file says he was an employee, contract translator. He wasn't a translator. He was investigating this company. He must have gotten a job here to get access. Amma stood up, moved closer to the screen. What else does it say? Jiho scrolled. Medical report. Death certificate signed by Dr. Kim Sung-ho. Cremation authorization signed by Manager Kwan. Manager Kwan. 8 years ago, she'd been in a lower position, but she'd been here. It says the ashes were sent to you, Jiho said slowly. But you're saying you never received them. I received nothing. So no ashes, no personal effects, nothing. Just a phone call telling me my husband was dead and that Korea had handled everything. Amma's hands gripped the edge of his desk. I tried to investigate from Ghana. I called the embassy. I hired a lawyer. I did everything I could. But I had a newborn baby and no money, and I was in a different country. The case went nowhere. So you came here yourself. I saved for 7 years. I applied for every work visa I could find. When I finally got approved for a general labor visa, I took it. I've been in Seoul for 6 months, working different jobs, trying to get access to this building. Her eyes met his. 3 months ago, I finally got hired as a cleaner here, and I've been searching ever since. Searching for what? If you believe your husband is dead, Itzat, what are you hoping to find? Proof, Amma said fiercely. The truth. Justice. Something I can take back to my daughter, so when she asks about her father, I can tell her more than he died, and we don't know why. He deserves better than an unmarked death and a lie about ashes that never came home. Jiho sat back. His mind was racing, connecting dots, seeing patterns. You were in the archive room tonight, he said. That's why you pushed yourself to come in despite being sick. You found something. Amma hesitated, then nodded. The basement archive is only accessible during weekend maintenance. Tonight was my only chance for another 2 weeks, and my visa expires in 3 months. I'm running out of time. What did you find? A logbook, old school, handwritten. Oh, it listed all deaths on company property going back 15 years. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket. Her hands shook as she handed it to him. I took a picture. Ji-ho unfolded it. A photo of a ledger page, the handwriting cramped and efficient. He scanned the entries. 4 names, 4 dates, 4 causes of death, all cardiac arrest. 4 dispositions, all cremated, all ashes supposedly sent to families abroad. Kwame Mensah was 3rd on the list. All migrant workers, Ji-ho said quietly. All investigating or asking too many questions, I'd bet. Amma's voice shook. 4 people dead in 8 years, all the same way. All foreigners, all cremated immediately. That's not a coincidence. No, Ji-ho agreed. It's not. He stood and paced to the window. Seoul glittered below, beautiful and indifferent. Somewhere in this city, there were answers. Somewhere in his own organization, there were people who knew exactly what happened to Kwame Mensah, and they'd been lying about it for 8 years. I want to make you an offer, he said, turning back to her. Amma's laugh was sharp. What could you possibly offer me? Access, protection, resources. I want to know what happened to your husband, and I want to know what other lies are buried in my organization. We both want the truth. Let's find it together. Why would you help me? If your company killed Kwame, helping me means exposing yourself. I didn't kill your husband. I wasn't even in Seoul 8 years ago. I was in Busan, working my way up through a different faction. I only took over this organization 5 years ago. Ji-ho met her eyes. But if people who work for me now were involved, I need to know. Cancer spreads. I cut it out before it kills the whole body. How humanitarian of you, Amma said coldly. Or is it just self-preservation? Both. I won't lie to you about what I am. This organization does illegal things. Money laundering, bribery, corporate manipulation. I'm not a good man. But I'm not the man who murdered your husband and covered it up. And I don't protect murderers. Amma studied him for a long moment. If we do this, I have conditions. Name them. Everything in writing. I want immunity for whatever we find. And I want protection for Nala. If something happens to me, you guarantee her safety and her return to Ghana. My sister will take her. Agreed. And when we find who's responsible, they face consequences. Real consequences. I don't care if it's your cousin or your closest advisor. Justice. Why not cover up? Ji-ho smiled, thin and sharp. If it's my cousin, you can watch while I destroy him. Is it your cousin? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. Amma swayed slightly. The adrenaline was wearing off, and the sickness was coming back. Ji-ho saw it. You need rest, he said. I need answers. You need both. Here's what's going to happen. You're going home. You're taking the next 3 days off, paid to recover. I'm assigning you a security detail. I don't need. You do. The moment you accessed that archive, you became a liability to whoever's keeping these secrets. They'll be watching. He pulled out his phone. Minjun will drive you and Nala home. Tomorrow, a doctor will come to your apartment. My personal physician. He'll examine you and make sure you have the medication you need. I can't afford. I'm paying. I don't want your charity. It's not charity. It's an investment. I need you healthy enough to help me tear this conspiracy apart. Ji-ho's voice went hard. And I need you alive, because if someone killed 4 people to keep this secret, they won't hesitate to make it 5. The words hung in the air, cold and true. Amma's face went pale, but she nodded. Okay. Good. 3 days. Rest, recover, and spend time with your daughter. I'll have my people dig into the files. When you come back, we start the real investigation. And Manager Kwan? Leave her to me. Something in his voice made Amma shiver. Not fear, exactly. More like recognition. This was the man who ran a criminal empire. This was the real Yoon Ji-ho. "Don't kill her," Amma said. Ji-ho raised an eyebrow. "I thought you wanted justice." "I want answers. Dead people can't talk." He smiled, and this time it was genuine. "Smart. Don't worry. I'm much crueler than murder. By the time I'm done with Manager Kwon, she'll beg to tell us everything she knows." Minjun returned with Nala, who had chocolate on her face and a stuffed bear under her arm. "The nice man gave me a bear," Nala announced, "and I watched Frozen." "That's wonderful, baby." Amma took her daughter's hand. She looked at Ji-ho. "Thank you for not firing me, for all of this. Thank me when we find the truth." As they left, Ji-ho returned to his desk. He pulled up the file again. Kwame Mensah. 4 other names. Manager Kwon's signature. Dr. Kim Sung-ho's name. He made calls. 3 of them, each to people who owed him favors or feared him enough not to ask questions. "Find me everything about these people," he said, sending the list. Where they are now, what they did 8 years ago, who they talked to, who paid them. I want their entire lives mapped out by morning. Then he called his cousin, Jung-woo. Family, but more importantly, his second in command. "We have a problem," Ji-ho said when Jung-woo answered. "Meet me at the office in 20 minutes and bring the old regime files, all of them." He hung up and looked out at Seoul. Somewhere in this city, someone had murdered a journalist, covered it up, and let a widow believe her husband's ashes were coming home. Somewhere, 3 other families had the same lie. And now Yoon Ji-ho, who'd built an empire on secrets and shadows, was about to go to war for the truth. And he thought about the little girl with the old eyes, whispering about her sick mother who still worked. He thought about Amma's face when she saw her husband's photo. And he thought about his own mother, dead in a factory at 35, her body sent back to China in a box that might have been empty for all he knew. "This ends," he said to the empty room. The war had begun. Jung-woo arrived in 15 minutes, which meant he'd been speeding. He walked into Ji-ho's office carrying 3 boxes of files, his expression carefully neutral. "You look like someone died," Jung-woo said, setting the boxes down. 4 people did, 8 years ago. Maybe more. Ji-ho gestured to the chair. "Sit. We're going through everything." They worked through the night, file after file, cross-referencing names, dates, and payments. Jung-woo had been with the organization for 10 years, which meant he'd been here during the transition between the old boss and Ji-ho's takeover. "I remember some of this," Jung-woo said around 3 in the morning, holding up a payment record. "The old boss, Chairman Park, he was paranoid about leaks. Anyone who asked too many questions, he'd have them watched. Watched or killed. I thought just watched. I handled security, but only the legitimate side. The other things, Chairman Park kept that close. Only his inner circle knew." Who was in that circle? Jung-woo rattled off names. Half were dead, victims of the power struggle when Ji-ho took over. 3 had retired and disappeared. 2 were still in the organization, Manager Kwon and Director Han from legal. "Get me everything on both of them," Ji-ho said. "Bank records, phone logs, property holdings, everything." "Are we burning them?" "If they're guilty, I'm not just burning them, I'm salting the earth." Jung-woo left at dawn. Ji-ho stayed, reading file after file. By the time the sun came up, he had a timeline. 8 years ago, Kwame Mensah had been hired as a contract translator. 2 weeks later, he'd accessed the executive archives, claiming he needed historical documents for a translation project. 1 week after that, he was dead. The death certificate was signed within 2 hours of the reported cardiac arrest. The cremation happened the same day. The ashes were logged as sent to Ghana 1 week later. Everything moved too fast. Death certificates usually took days. Cremations required family consent, waiting periods. This had been rushed, efficient, like someone was erasing evidence. Jiho picked up his phone and called the doctor whose name was on the certificate, Dr. Kim Sung-ho. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." He tried the crematorium. Same thing. Disconnected. Every single point of contact in Kwame's death had vanished. That wasn't coincidence. That was cleanup. His phone buzzed. A message from his head of security with an address. Amma's apartment. Jiho stood, grabbed his coat, and left. The apartment was in Derrimdong, an area known for its immigrant population. Small shops with signs in Chinese, Mongolian, Vietnamese. The building Amma lived in was old, the kind that should have been condemned 5 years ago, but kept standing because landlords knew desperate people didn't complain. Jiho's car looked obscene parked on the narrow street. His driver stayed with it while he climbed stairs that smelled like old cooking oil and mildew. 4th floor, apartment 408. He knocked. Amma opened the door, and Jiho barely recognized her. She wore soft clothes, her hair wrapped in a colorful scarf. No makeup. She looked younger, softer, and still exhausted. "You came here yourself," she said, surprised. "I don't send messengers for important things." She let him in. The apartment was tiny. One room that served as bedroom, living room, and kitchen. A bathroom so small, you probably had to step outside to change your mind. But it was clean, decorated with bright fabrics and photos. Nala sat at a small table, eating rice and eggs. "Mr. Yoon." Nala jumped up, ran to him. "Did you come to have breakfast?" "Nala, manners," Amma said, but she was smiling. It's fine." Jiho looked down at the little girl. "I came to talk to your mother about work." "Boring," Nala pronounced, and went back to her eggs. Amma gestured to the small seating area, 2 cushions on the floor beside a low table. Jiho sat, feeling ridiculous in his expensive suit on her worn cushion. "The doctor came this morning," Amma said, pouring tea. "He examined me, adjusted my medications, and left enough supplies for 3 months. He wouldn't let me pay. I told you, I'm covering it." "Why?" Amma's eyes searched his face. "You could have just given me the file and let me handle it myself. Why are you personally involved?" Jiho accepted the tea. It was good, strong, and sweet. "Because this isn't just about your husband anymore. I found something." He told her about the timeline, the rushed death certificate, the disconnected phone numbers. Amma's hands tightened around her cup. "They erased him," she whispered. "They tried to, but they got sloppy. There are always traces. Always." Jiho pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. "This is Dr. Kim Sung-ho, the doctor who signed your husband's death certificate. He closed his practice 7 years ago and moved to Jeju Island. Bought a house worth $2 million, cash. A doctor who treats factory workers and migrants doesn't have that kind of money." "Exactly. Someone paid him, a lot, and I'm going to find out who." Amma set down her tea. Her hands shook slightly. "When do we start?" "You're supposed to be resting." "I've rested enough. My daughter's father was murdered and erased like he never existed. I'm not resting until I know why." Jiho found himself smiling. "You're stubborn. You're one to talk." "Fair." He stood. "Get dressed. Professional clothes if you have them. You're coming to the office with me." "As what?" "My personal consultant on worker safety and operations. Which is true, just not the whole truth. It gives you access to everything and everyone, and it keeps you close, where I can protect you. People will talk. Let them. My reputation can handle it." Amma disappeared into the bathroom. Nala climbed onto the cushion next to Jiho. "Are you helping my mommy find out about my daddy?" she asked. Jiho looked at this child who'd lost a father she never knew. "Yes." "Good. Mommy cries sometimes when she thinks I'm sleeping. She looks at pictures of him and cries. I don't want her to cry anymore." Something in Jiho's chest hurt. I'll do my best. Do you promise?" He should say no. Promises to children were dangerous, binding in ways adults didn't understand. But he looked at Nala's hopeful face and heard himself say, "I promise." Nala hugged him, quick and fierce, then ran off to play with her stuffed bear. Amma came out wearing a simple black dress and cardigan. She'd put on minimal makeup, pulled her hair back. She looked professional, capable, beautiful. Jiho pushed that thought away. "There's a woman downstairs," he said. "Mrs. Chen. She runs the convenience store. I've arranged for her to watch Nala during the day. She has 3 grandchildren of her own and references." "You investigated my neighbor?" "I investigate everyone." Amma should have been angry. Instead, she laughed, tired but genuine. "Of course you do." 20 minutes later, they were in Jiho's car, driving through Seoul's morning traffic. Amma stared out the window, quiet. "What are you thinking?" Jiho asked. "That the last time I was in a car this nice, it was my wedding day. Kwame rented a ridiculous Mercedes. We couldn't afford it. But he said I deserved to feel like royalty for one day." Her voice went soft. "He was good at grand gestures, terrible with money, but good at making me feel special." "Tell me about him." "Why?" "Because I'm hunting the people who killed him. I should know who he was." Amma was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke. "Kwame was bright, like a flame. He'd walk into a room, and people would just gravitate to him. He believed in truth, the way some people believe in God. Absolute, unwavering faith that truth mattered. See, that exposing corruption could change things." She smiled sadly. "I used to tease him about it. I'd say, 'Kwame, truth doesn't pay our rent.' And he'd say, 'But it lets me sleep at night.' He sounds idealistic. He was, frustratingly so, but also brave. When he found a story, nothing could stop him. Not threats, not bribes, nothing." Amma's voice cracked. "I think that's what got him killed. He found something someone couldn't let him expose, and they stopped him the only way they could." Jiho's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "They won't get away with it. You sound very sure." "I am. I don't lose. Everyone loses eventually. Not me. I don't allow it." Amma turned to look at him. "You're either incredibly arrogant or incredibly damaged." "Both," Jiho said without hesitation. "Definitely both." She laughed. Oh, and the sound filled the car like light. They arrived at the office at 8. The building was waking up, employees filtering in, coffee shops opening. Jiho led Amma past the lobby, ignoring the stairs, straight to the executive elevator. "Won't people wonder who I am?" Amma asked. "Yes, let them wonder." The elevator opened directly into the executive floor. Min Jun was waiting, efficient as always. "Sir, Manager Kwan is asking to see you. She's heard about the audit." "What audit?" Amma asked. Jiho smiled, sharp. "The one I started at 4 this morning. A complete review of HR practices, employee records, and operational procedures for the past 10 years. She's going to know you're targeting her. Good. Pressure makes people nervous. Nervous people make mistakes." He turned to Min Jun. "Tell Manager Kwan I'll see her at 10. And set up Mrs. Mensa in the office next to mine. Full access to personnel files, security clearance level 3. Min Jun's face showed no surprise. He simply nodded and left. Amma followed Jiho into his office. "Level 3 clearance is high, isn't it?" "It's just below mine. You can access almost everything except my personal financial records and the, let's call them, sensitive operational files. The criminal ones. Those would be the ones. At least you're honest about being a criminal. Would you prefer I pretend to be legitimate?" Amma considered this. "No. I think I prefer knowing exactly who I'm working with." A wise choice. Her office was smaller than his, but still impressive. A desk, computer, full view of the city. Jiho watched her take it in, saw the moment she realized this was real. She wasn't a cleaner anymore. She had power here. "I'll have Minjun bring you the files on the 4 deaths," Jiho said. "Start with the patterns. Dates, times, who was on duty, who signed off on what. Look for connections." "What will you be doing?" "Shaking trees to see what falls out." Manager Kwan arrived at exactly 10, her expression a careful mask of professional concern. She was in her 50s, hair pulled back severely, wearing a suit that screamed, "Middle management trying to look important." She bowed to Jiho. "Sir, I heard about the audit. If there's a problem with my department, I'm happy to cooperate fully." "Sit," Jiho said. She sat. He let the silence stretch, watched her squirm. "Tell me about Kwame Mensah," he said finally. Her face went blank. Too blank. "I'm sorry, who?" "Kwame Mensah, employee number 2137. Died on premises 8 years ago. You signed his cremation authorization." "That was 8 years ago. I can't be expected to remember every employee." "You remember. He died in this building. You authorized having his body cremated within hours. That's not standard procedure." "I followed protocol." "Whose protocol?" "Because Korean law requires family consent for cremation." "Did you contact his wife?" Sweat appeared on Manager Kwan's upper lip. I would have followed whatever procedure was in place at the time." "The procedure was to contact next of kin. His wife, Amma Mensah, was never contacted. The ashes were never sent." "Where did they go, Manager Kwan?" "I don't know what you're talking about." Jiho leaned forward. "Let me be very clear. I'm going to find out exactly what happened to Kwame Mensah. I'm going to find out who gave the orders, who carried them out, and who covered it up. When I do, everyone involved is going to face consequences. Your choice right now is whether you're part of the cover-up or part of the solution." Manager Kwan's hands twisted in her lap. "I want to call my lawyer. You're not under arrest. You're free to leave anytime. But if you walk out that door without talking to me, I'm going to assume you're guilty, and I'll proceed accordingly. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you a chance. Once. Take it or leave it." The silence stretched. Finally, Manager Kwan spoke, her voice small. "I didn't kill anyone. But you know who did." I was told it was handled, that he'd had a heart attack, and the company was managing the situation to avoid liability." "Who told you that?" "Chairman Park, the previous owner. He's dead." "I know. That's why I thought it was buried. Nothing stays buried forever. Who else was involved?" Manager Kwan's face crumpled. "Director Han from legal, Dr. Kim, and someone else. Someone Chairman Park brought in from outside. I never met him. I just signed the papers I was told to sign." "What papers?" "The death certificate, the cremation authorization, the shipping receipt for the ashes." "Where were the ashes really sent?" "I don't know. I swear, I don't know. Director Han handled that part." Jiho stood. "You're suspended. Effective immediately. Full pay. You don't talk to anyone about this conversation. You don't leave Seoul. If you run, I'll find you. Understand?" Manager Kwan nodded, tears streaming down her face. "One more thing," Jiho said. "The other 3 deaths. Same situation?" She nodded again. "Get out." She fled. Jiho called Minjun. "Bring me Director Han, now." Director Han was in his 60s, smooth and polished. He walked into Jiho's office with the confidence of someone who thought he was untouchable. "Jiho, what's this about?" "I'm very busy." "Sit down, Director Han." Something in Jiho's voice made the older man's confidence flicker. He sat. "Kwame Mensah," Jiho said. Director Han's face showed nothing. "I'm not familiar with that name." "Then let me refresh your memory. Journalist. Died here 8 years ago. You handled the legal paperwork to cover up his murder. That's a serious accusation. It's about to get more serious. Manager Kwan is talking. She's given me your name, the doctor's name, and she's mentioned a mysterious outsider that Chairman Park brought in. So here's your choice. You can tell me everything right now, or I can hand what I have to the prosecutors and let them dig. Director Han's Polish cracked. You wouldn't. It would expose the organization. I've already started separating the legitimate operations from the criminal ones. I can survive a scandal. Can you? The older man's hands shook. Chairman Park gave the order. I just did the paperwork. What was the order? To make the journalist disappear. He'd found documents about the real estate fraud, the shell companies, the bribes to city officials. If he'd published his story, it would have destroyed everything. So you killed him? I didn't kill anyone. The outsider, so he handled it, made it look like a heart attack. We cleaned up after. Where's the body? Director Han went pale. What? The ashes were never sent to his wife. So where's the body? There was no cremation. That was just paperwork. The body was disposed of. Where? A construction site. The Gangnam Tower project. Chairman Park had connections with the developer. The body was buried in the foundation before they poured concrete. Jiho felt cold rage wash over him. You buried him in a building. It was Chairman Park's idea. No body, no evidence, no investigation. Gangnam Tower. The luxury apartments on Tehran Row? Yes. That building has been occupied for 6 years. There are families living there. Children. I know. Director Han's voice broke. I know. Well, I've had nightmares about it for 8 years. Good. You should. Jiho picked up his phone. Security is going to escort you to a private room. You're going to write down everything. Every detail. Every name. Every document you signed. If you leave anything out, if you lie even once, the deal is off. What deal? The one where I don't destroy your entire family along with you. Your son works at the prosecutor's office, doesn't he? Your daughter's husband owns 3 restaurants in Gangnam? Cooperate, and they stay clean. Refuse, and I bury all of you. Director Han looked at Jiho and saw exactly what he was. Not a businessman, not even just a criminal. Something colder, sharper. A man who kept his promises, especially the threatening ones. I'll write everything, Director Han whispered. When he was gone, Jiho sat in the silence of his office. Kwame Mensah wasn't just dead. He was entombed in concrete, his final resting place the foundation of a building full of people who had no idea they were living above a grave. He had to tell Amma. He found her in her office, surrounded by files, making notes. She looked up when he entered, and her face changed. You found something, she said. Yes. Tell me. So he did. All of it. Manager Kwan's confession, Director Han's breakdown, the construction site, the building. He watched Amma's face as he spoke, saw each word land like a blow. When he finished, she sat very still. He's been here, she said finally. All this time. I've been searching for him, and he's been 30 minutes away. Amma, under a building, in the foundation, all like trash. I'm going to get him back. She looked up at him, and her eyes were full of tears that wouldn't fall. How? You can't tear down an occupied building. No, but I can force an investigation. Construction fraud, safety violations, evidence of criminal activity. I can make them excavate. That will take months, years, and it will destroy your organization, everything you've built. Jiho crouched in front of her chair, met her eyes level. I don't care. You should. This is your empire. It's an empire built on a graveyard. I'd rather burn it down than protect that. Amma reached out, touched his face. The gesture surprised them both. Her hand was warm against his cheek. Who are you? She whispered. Really? I don't know anymore, Jiho admitted. A week ago I thought I knew, but now I'm not sure. Before either could say anything else, Min Jun burst in, no knock, his face pale. Sir, we have a problem. Jiho stood. What kind? The kind with guns and government badges. The prosecutor's office is here with a warrant. They're searching the building. Everything went cold. Who authorized the warrant? Jiho demanded. Prosecutor Choi. He's heading up a task force on organized crime. Prosecutor Choi. Director Han's son. That son of a… Jiho didn't finish. He looked at Amma. Director Han called his son. He's burning everything to save himself. What does that mean? Amma asked. It means we're out of time. Jiho grabbed his phone, started typing rapidly. Minjun, initiate Protocol 7. Secure all sensitive files. Get legal on the phone. And get Mrs. Mensa out of the building. I'm not leaving, Amma said. You have to. You're not part of this organization officially. If they find you here, they'll use you as leverage. Leverage for what? To make me talk, and I can't protect you and fight them at the same time. Amma stood. Fine. But I'm taking the files on Kwame. All of them. Already done. Jiho handed her a USB drive. Everything. Backed up. Encrypted. Keep it safe. Their hands touched as she took the drive. For a moment, they stood there, the sounds of chaos building outside the office. Be careful, Amma said. Always am. That's a lie. Yes, Jiho smiled. It is. Minjun led Amma out through a back elevator, one the prosecutors wouldn't know about yet. Jiho watched her go, then turned to face the storm. Prosecutor Choi was young, ambitious, and had something to prove. He walked into Jiho's office like he owned it. Yoon Jiho, we have a warrant to search these premises for evidence of money laundering, fraud, and corruption. Of course you do, Jiho said calmly. Though I find the timing interesting. Your father just confessed to covering up 4 murders, and now you're here investigating me. Trying to control the narrative, Prosecutor Choi? The younger man's face flushed. I don't know what you're talking about. Director Han is your father. He told me everything an hour ago. Did he call you in a panic? Tell you to shut me down before I could expose the whole conspiracy? My father is a respected legal director. Your father is a criminal who helped bury bodies in building foundations. And now you're here, trying to bury the evidence again. Prosecutor Choi's hand moved to his phone. Jiho smiled. Already recorded. Every word. And it's already uploaded to 3 separate servers. You can't delete it. The prosecutor's face went white. You're bluffing. Test me. They stared at each other. Finally, Prosecutor Choi spoke. What do you want? I want a deal. Full immunity for Amma Mensa. She's a witness, not a criminal. She gets protection, she gets justice for her husband, and she walks away clean. In exchange for what? In exchange for me not releasing the recording of your father, confessing to multiple murders, and implicating Chairman Park, who happens to have been a major donor to your boss's campaign. Prosecutor Choi looked sick. That's blackmail. That's negotiation. You have until 5 o'clock to decide. After that, I release everything to every news outlet in Seoul. The prosecutor left. Jiho sat down, his hands shaking slightly. It was a gamble, a huge one. But he'd meant what he said to Amma. He'd burn it all down if he had to. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You're making enemies. Be careful. They're more dangerous than you think. No signature. No name. But Jiho knew a warning when he saw one. The war was escalating. And somewhere in Seoul, Amma was carrying the evidence that could destroy everyone. If you're still with me, I need to know, are you Team Jiho, or do you think Amma should handle this alone? Drop your thoughts below, because what happens next is going to shock you. Don't go anywhere. Jiho's phone rang. Young Woo. We have a tail on Mrs. Mensah, his cousin said. 3 cars. Professional. Don't lose her. And don't let them know you're there. Already on it. But boss, whoever sent them has resources. This isn't street level. I know. It's the Chaebol family, the one involved in the original real estate fraud. They know we're close to exposing everything. What do you want me to do? Keep her safe, whatever it takes. Jiho hung up and looked out at Seoul. The city glittered, beautiful and full of secrets. One of those secrets was about to explode, and when it did, nothing would ever be the same. Amma made it home safely, but she could feel them watching. 3 cars, Young Woo had said. She didn't look, didn't give any sign she knew. Just walked into her building like any other day, picked up Nala from Mrs. Chen, and climbed the stairs to her apartment. Once inside with the door locked, she allowed herself to shake. Nala was chattering about her day, about the new friend she'd made, about the picture she'd drawn. Amma smiled and nodded, and felt like she was underwater, everything muffled and distant. Her phone buzzed. Jiho. You're safe. For now. Your cousin said I have company outside. 3 cars. I'm working on it. Working on it, how? Do you trust me? Amma looked at the USB drive in her hand, thought about everything that had happened in the past few days. I'm starting to. Good. Pack a bag. You and Nala. Enough for a week. Why? Because they know you have the files. They're going to make a move, and I'd rather you not be somewhere predictable when they do. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. My driver will be there in 20 minutes. Different car, so not the one they're watching for. Jiho. Yes? If this goes wrong, if something happens to me, the files go to every news station in Seoul. I've set up a dead man switch. He laughed, low and surprised. You continue to impress me. I learned from the best. My husband was paranoid about protecting his sources. The mention of Kwame created a strange silence. Amma felt it, the weight of his absence and presence at the same time. 20 minutes, Jiho said, and hung up. Amma packed quickly. Clothes for her and Nala. Medications, the stuffed bear, Nala's favorite books. She grabbed the small photo album she kept hidden, the one with pictures of Kwame, his smile, his eyes, the way he'd looked at her on their wedding day. Mommy, where are we going? Nala asked. On an adventure with Mr. Moinyun. Is it because of the bad people? Amma's hand stilled. What bad people, baby? The ones outside. I saw them when we came home. 3 cars, all watching our building. Mrs. Chen said they're not from our neighborhood. 7 years old, and already too observant. Amma knelt down and held her daughter's face gently. Yes, there are some bad people. But Mr. Yoon is going to keep us safe, okay? We just need to be brave for a little while longer. Are we finding out what happened to Daddy? Yes. Good. Nala's face was serious, so much older than her years. Daddy would want us to be brave. Amma hugged her daughter and tried not to cry. The driver arrived exactly on time. Not Minjun, someone else. A woman, young and professional, who introduced herself as Agent Kong. I'm with Mr. Yoon's private security, she said. Well, we're going out the back way. There's a delivery entrance that connects to the building next door. The cars out front won't see us leave. They moved quickly, Amma carrying their bag, Nala holding her hand, Agent Kong leading them through passages Amma didn't know existed. Downstairs, through a basement that smelled like old kimchi and laundry detergent, up through another building, and finally into a waiting car in an alley 3 streets over. Clever, Amma said as they drove away. Mr. Yoon doesn't take chances with people he cares about, Agent Kong replied. People he cares about. The words sat in Amma's chest, warm and complicated. They drove for 40 minutes, leaving Seoul proper, heading into the hills. The safe house was beautiful, a traditional hanok hidden among trees, with modern security that Amma spotted immediately. Such cameras, motion sensors, reinforced doors disguised as traditional wood. Jiho was waiting inside. He looked tired, Amma noticed. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, tie gone, hair slightly mussed. Human instead of the perfect corporate image he usually projected. "Welcome," he said. "It's not much, but it's secure." "It's lovely," Amma said, and meant it. Nala ran to explore, delighted by the traditional architecture and the small garden visible through the windows. Agent Kang followed her, giving the adults privacy. Prosecutor Choi agreed to the deal, Jiho said. "You have full immunity. Whatever happens, you and Nala are protected." "What did it cost you?" "Some files, some leverage, nothing I can't rebuild." "That's not nothing." "It is compared to the alternative." Jiho moved to the window, looked out at the garden. "I spoke to the construction company that built Gangnam Tower, anonymously, through several layers of intermediaries. I told them I had evidence of bodies in their foundation, and that I was going to the media unless they cooperated with an independent excavation." Amma's breath caught. "What did they say?" "They denied everything. Then they called the Chaebol family that owns the building, who called me directly 5 minutes later. They know it's you. They know, and they're scared. Scared people make desperate choices. Hence the 3 cars watching my apartment. Hence." Jiho turned to face her. "The Chaebol family is the Shin family. Old the money, political connections going back 3 generations. The current chairman, Shin Tae-won, is preparing to run for Seoul mayor. If this scandal breaks, it destroys him and everyone connected to him. So he'll do whatever it takes to stop us. He'll try, but I'm faster, and I'm meaner, and I have something he doesn't." "What?" "The truth, and a widow who's been searching for 8 years. Jiho's eyes met hers. "You're the story, Amma. You're what makes this human instead of just another corporate scandal. The moment I tell the media about you, about Nala, about a journalist who died searching for truth, and a wife who crossed oceans looking for answers, the Shin family can't touch you. Public sympathy is armor they can't penetrate. You want to make me bait. I want to make you untouchable. There's a difference." Amma considered this. "When?" "Tomorrow. I've called a press conference. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. Just stand there. Let them see you. And let them see Nala. I'll tell the story. And then?" "Then I force the excavation. I've already filed formal complaints with the Construction Safety Board, the Environmental Agency, and the police. I've leaked documents to 3 different news outlets. By tomorrow afternoon, Gangnam Tower will be the biggest story in Seoul. They'll come after you. Let them try." The confidence in his voice should have been arrogant. Instead, it sounded like a promise. "Jiho," Amma said softly. "Why are you doing this? Really?" He was quiet for a long moment. "My mother died when I was 12. She worked in a factory in China, making clothes for Korean companies. She got sick, some kind of lung infection from the chemicals. She kept working because she needed the money to send me to school. By the time she collapsed, it was too late. The factory owner had her body cremated before I could get there. He said it was procedure, that Chinese workers who died on premises were cremated immediately for hygiene reasons." Amma's hand covered her mouth. "I never got to bury her," Jiho continued. "Never got to say goodbye. Never knew if the ashes they sent were really hers or just ash from the crematorium. For years I was angry, powerless. So I made myself powerful. Built an empire so I'd never be that helpless child again. And then you met us. And then I met a little girl who whispered about her sick mother still working. And I saw my mother. Saw myself. Saw the same system that destroyed my family about to destroy yours. He looked at her. I can't save my mother, but maybe I can give you and Nala what I never got. Closure, truth, a body to bury, and a name to honor. Amma crossed the space between them. She didn't plan it, didn't think, just moved. And then she was hugging him, her arms around his waist, her face against his chest. Jiho froze. Then, slowly, his arms came around her. They stood like that, two people carrying grief they'd never fully shared, finding unexpected comfort in each other. Thank you, Amma whispered. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get worse before it gets better. I know, but thank you anyway. Nala's voice called from the other room, breaking the moment. They stepped apart, careful not to look at each other, both feeling something neither was ready to name. That night, Amma couldn't sleep. She stood in the garden, looking at stars she couldn't usually see in Seoul's light pollution. The door opened behind her. Jiho, carrying 2 cups of tea. Couldn't sleep either, he asked, handing her one. Too much in my head. Tomorrow's going to be difficult. I know. Once we start this, once we go public, there's no going back. Is that what's bothering you? Amma sipped the tea. It was the same kind she'd served him in her apartment, sweet and strong. He'd remembered. I've spent 8 years imagining this moment, she said. Finding out what happened to Kwame, getting answers. But now that I'm close, I'm scared. Of what? Of the truth being worse than I imagined. Of finding his body and having to bury him all over again. Of Nala having to know that her father was murdered and hidden like he was nothing. Her voice cracked. Of finally having closure and realizing that closure doesn't fix anything. Jiho set down his tea, turned to face her fully. It won't fix everything. The truth rarely does, but it will give you something you haven't had. An ending. A place to grieve. A story to tell Nala that honors her father, instead of leaving him as a question mark. And what about you? What does this give you? Peace, maybe. Or at least the knowledge that I tried to be better than the system that made me. You're not responsible for your mother's death. No. But I'm responsible for what I built afterward. And some of what I built wasn't so different from what killed her. He looked at the stars. You're changing that. Forcing me to see the foundations my empire sits on. I don't like what I'm seeing, but I'm grateful to see it. That's a strange thing to be grateful for. I'm a strange man. Amma laughed, surprising herself. Yes, you are. They stood in comfortable silence, drinking tea, watching stars. Can I ask you something? Jiho said. Yes. Do you still love him? Kwame? The question hung between them. Amma thought about it, really thought. I love who he was, she said finally. I love the memories, the man who made me laugh, who believed in truth, who gave me Nala. But it's been 8 years. I've changed. He's gone. What I feel now is different. Love mixed with grief, mixed with distance. Like loving a photograph instead of a person. That makes sense. Can I ask you something? Fair is fair. Have you ever been in love? Jiho was quiet for so long Amma thought he wouldn't answer. No, he said finally. I've had relationships, transactions mostly. People who wanted my money or my power or the status of being with me. But love? Real love? No. I didn't think I was capable of it. Didn't. Past tense. He looked at her, and something in his eyes made Amma's breath catch. Recent developments have made me reconsider. The air between them changed, charged with something unspoken. Jiho, Amma started. I know. It's too soon. You're still grieving. We're in the middle of a war. The timing is terrible. The timing is terrible, she agreed. But, But when this is over, when Kwame is buried and the truth is out and we can breathe again, ask me then. Ask you what? Whatever you're thinking right now. Jiho smiled, soft and genuine. Deal. The press conference was scheduled for 2 in the afternoon. Jiho's legal team had spent the morning preparing statements, coordinating with the news outlets, making sure everything was airtight. Amma wore a simple blue dress, her hair down, minimal makeup. She wanted to look real, accessible, human. Nala wore her favorite yellow dress, the one with butterflies. She didn't fully understand what was happening, but she knew it was important. "Are we going to tell people about Daddy?" she asked in the car. "Yes, baby. We're going to tell everyone what happened to him." "Good. He deserves for people to know." The press conference was held at a neutral location, a hotel conference room. When Amma walked in with Nala and saw the cameras, the reporters, the lights, she almost turned around. Jiho's hand touched her back, steadying. "You can do this," he said quietly. "You're the strongest person I know." She looked at him, drew strength from his certainty, and nodded. Jiho stood at the podium. Amma and Nala sat to his right, a visible but not the focus. "Thank you all for coming," Jiho began. "I'm here today to discuss a matter of public safety and corporate accountability. 8 years ago, a journalist named Kwame Mensah was investigating real estate fraud in Seoul. He uncovered evidence of corruption involving multiple construction companies, bribery of city officials, and the use of shell corporations to hide illegal transactions. The reporters were already taking notes, cameras flashing. Before he could publish his findings, Kwame Mensah died. The official report said cardiac arrest. His body was allegedly cremated and his ashes sent to his family in Ghana." Jiho paused. "That was a lie, all of it." The room erupted with questions. Jiho held up a hand. "Kwame Mensah was murdered. His death was covered up by Chairman Park of the previous administration of my organization, along with members of the legal and medical community who were bribed to falsify records. His body was not cremated. It was buried in the foundation of Gangnam Tower, a luxury apartment building in Gangnam District." Gasps, shouts, the flash of cameras intensifying. "He wasn't the only one. We have evidence of 3 other migrant workers who were murdered and buried the same way. Their families were told the same lies. Their bodies are in the same location." Jiho gestured to Amma. "This is Amma Mensah, Kwame's widow. She spent 8 years searching for answers. She came to Seoul 6 months ago and took a job as a cleaner in my building to investigate her husband's disappearance. What she found led us to this moment." Amma stood, her legs shaking. Jiho stepped aside, giving her the podium. "My name is Amma Mensah," she said, her accent thick with emotion. 8 years ago, my husband came to Seoul to investigate corruption. He never came home. I was 3 months pregnant. I gave birth alone. I raised our daughter alone. And every day, I wondered what happened to him." She looked at Nala, who was watching her with wide eyes. "My daughter deserves to know her father. Not as a mystery, not as a lie, but as the brave man he was. A man who died trying to expose the truth. A man who deserves to be found, to be honored, to be buried with dignity." Amma's voice broke. "I'm asking the city of Seoul, the construction company, the authorities, to do what's right. Excavate Gangnam Tower. Find my husband. Find the others. Let us bring them home." The room exploded. Questions shouted, cameras everywhere, the noise overwhelming. Jiho stepped back to the podium, his presence commanding silence. "I'm personally funding an independent investigation. I'm also offering full cooperation with any government inquiry. The people responsible for these murders will be held accountable, no matter who they are, no matter how powerful. This ends today." They left through a side entrance, security surrounding them. In the car, Amma was shaking. "You did perfectly," Jiho said. "I almost threw up. But you didn't. You stood there and told your truth, and now the whole country heard it." His phone was already ringing. He ignored it. "That's going to be the Shin family," he said. "What will they do? Try to discredit us. Try to bury the story. Try to threaten me into backing down. Will it work?" Jiho smiled, cold and sharp. "No." By evening, the story was everywhere. Every news channel, every website, every social media platform. Amma's face, Nala's face, Kwame's old photo from his press credentials. The hashtag Justice for Kwame was trending. The Shin family released a statement denying everything, calling it a publicity stunt by a criminal organization trying to deflect from their own illegal activities. The construction company claimed no knowledge of any bodies and said the building had passed all inspections. But the public wasn't buying it. The images of Amma and Nala, the emotion in Amma's voice, the specific details Jiho had provided, it all felt too real to be a lie. Protesters gathered outside Gangnam Tower. Families of migrant workers held vigils. Civil rights organizations demanded an investigation. The pressure became impossible to ignore. 3 days later, the Seoul Metropolitan Government announced an official excavation order. Gangnam Tower would be evacuated, and the foundation would be carefully examined. The residents were furious. The building owners threatened lawsuits, but the order stood. Amma watched the news with Jiho in the safe house. "They're really going to do it," she whispered. "Yes. I'm going to see him again. After 8 years. Jiho took her hand. She led him. The excavation took 2 weeks. They had to move slowly, carefully, using ground-penetrating radar first to locate the exact spots, then precision equipment to avoid damaging the remains. The news covered every moment. Amma couldn't watch. She stayed at the safe house with Nala, waiting, existing in a strange limbo between past and future. Jiho came every evening, bringing updates, bringing food, bringing his quiet presence. "They found something," he said on day 12. Amma closed her eyes. "Tell me." 4 sites. 4 sets of remains. They're running DNA tests now, but the locations match exactly what Director Han described in his confession. "How long for the DNA results?" "A week, maybe less. And then?" "Then you'll know for certain, and then we can bring him home." Amma nodded, unable to speak. That night, she dreamed of Kwame, not as he was when he died, but as he'd been on their wedding day. Smiling, laughing, pulling her into a dance even though there was no music. In the dream, he stopped and cupped her face. "I'm proud of you," he said. "Son, you were always braver than you believed. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. You couldn't. But you found me. That's enough." He looked over her shoulder, and Amma turned. Jiho stood there, watching. "Him?" Kwame asked. "I don't know, maybe. He's good for you. Broken in all the opposite ways. You'll balance each other. I still love you. I know. But I'm gone, Amma, and you're still here. You deserve to be happy." She woke with tears on her face. The DNA results came back on day 19. Jiho brought the official report himself. "It's him," he said gently. "Kwame Mensah. Positive match." Amma took the paper with shaking hands. There it was, in black and white. Scientific proof of what she'd known in her heart. Her husband was dead, had been dead for 8 years, was never coming home. Except now he was. I'm making arrangements for the remains to be prepared for transport to Ghana," Jiho said. "Full honors, everything done properly. The Korean government is covering all costs as part of their official apology." "Apology?" "The Prime Minister made a statement this morning, apologizing for the failure of oversight that allowed this to happen, promising reforms, the usual political theater. But the money is real, and the acknowledgement is real." "What about the Shin family?" Chairman Shin withdrew from the mayoral race yesterday. His son has been arrested for obstruction of justice. The entire family is facing multiple investigations. Jiho's expression was satisfied. They're done. And the others? The 3 other victims? Their families have been contacted. 2 are coming to Seoul to claim their loved ones. One family asked for the remains to be buried here, in a memorial we're creating. We? I'm funding it. A memorial garden for migrant workers who died far from home. Kwame will have a marker there too, even though his body is going back to Ghana, a place for people to remember. Amma looked at this complicated man who'd gone to war for a stranger's widow and didn't know what to say. Thank you seemed too small, so instead, she kissed him. It was soft, brief, just a press of lips. But it carried everything she couldn't put into words: gratitude and grief and something that might be the beginning of love. When she pulled back, Jiho's eyes were wide. Amma. I know it's complicated, and I'm still grieving, and we have so much to figure out. But I needed you to know. Whatever this is between us, it's real. And when I'm ready, when I've buried Kwame properly and said goodbye, I want to explore it. I'll wait, Jiho said, as long as you need. The funeral was held in Accra 3 weeks later. Jiho paid for everything: the casket, the flights, the ceremony. He didn't attend. Told Amma this was her time with her family, her time to say goodbye. Amma stood with Nala at the graveside, surrounded by family and friends and journalists who'd known Kwame. They told stories, shared memories, cried and laughed, and celebrated a life cut too short. When they lowered the casket, Amma felt something release in her chest. A weight she'd carried for 8 years, finally lifting. Goodbye, my love, she whispered. Thank you for Nala. Thank you for teaching me about courage. Rest now. What, you've earned it. Nala placed a drawing on the casket before they covered it. A picture of a man with a big smile, holding hands with a woman and a little girl. The family they should have been. They stayed in Ghana for 2 weeks. Amma reconnected with her family, let them fuss over Nala, allowed herself to grieve properly, surrounded by love. And she thought about Jiho, about his quiet strength, his unexpected gentleness with Nala, the way he'd dismantled his own empire to find the truth, about how he'd transformed from a criminal who scared her into someone she trusted with her life, about how, maybe, it was possible to love again. She called him one night, the time difference making it early morning in Seoul. How are you? He asked, voice rough with sleep. Better. Lighter, somehow, and like I can finally breathe. I'm glad. How are things there? Complicated. The prosecutors are still investigating. I've had to shut down 3 divisions entirely, turn over documents that incriminate people I've worked with for years. My organization is smaller than it was. Do you regret it? No, it needed to happen. I built on rotten foundations, literally and figuratively. Better to tear it down and rebuild it right. You're a good man, Jiho. I'm really not. You're a good man who does bad things. There's a difference. He laughed. I'll take it. We're coming back next week. I'll be waiting. When Amma and Nala returned to Seoul, Jiho picked them up from the airport himself. Nala ran to him, and he lifted her up, easy and natural. Mr. Yoon, I saw the ocean, and I met my grandmother. And I have cousins. That sounds wonderful. Amma watched them, her daughter chattering away, this powerful man listening with genuine interest, and felt something settle in her heart. They drove to the new apartment Jiho had arranged, much nicer than her old place, in a safer neighborhood, with a real bedroom for Nala. You didn't have to do this, Amma said. I wanted to. Consider it back pay for the 6 months you worked in terrible conditions. This is more than back pay. Fine, consider it a gift. I'm allowed to give gifts. After Nala was settled in her new room, playing with the toys Jiho had stocked there, the adult sat in the living room. "I have something to tell you," Jiho said. "The investigation cleared you of any wrongdoing. You're officially recognized as a witness who helped expose corruption. There's even talk of the government offering you a special visa, permanent residency status." "Really?" "And several universities have reached out. They want to validate your credentials, offer you positions in their public health departments. You could actually work in your field again." Amma felt tears spring to her eyes. That's everything I wanted. Before Kwame died, before everything fell apart, I wanted to work in public health, to make a difference. Now you can. Because of you. Because of us. You found the courage to investigate. I just provided resources." They sat in comfortable silence. Then Jiho took a breath. "I told you to ask me when things settled," Amma said, "when I was ready. Are you? Ready?" "I think so. Or as ready as I'll ever be." Jiho moved from the chair to kneel in front of her. Not on one knee, not yet. Just there at her level, looking at her with complete focus. "Amma Mensa, you walked into my life and turned everything upside down. You showed me what real courage looks like, what real love looks like. You and Nala, you've become essential. I can't imagine my life without you in it. Jiho, I'm still a criminal. I'm still doing things that aren't legal or moral. I'm trying to be better, but I'll never be completely legitimate. You need to know that." "I know. I'll probably always be too controlling. I'll want to protect you in ways that feel suffocating. I'll make mistakes. I'll probably always be too stubborn. I'll challenge you constantly. I'll never be the docile partner you could have if you wanted. I don't want docile. I want you, exactly as you are. Before you find out what happens next, I need you to hit that subscribe button because the ending is something you won't want to miss. Trust me on this. Subscribe now, and let's finish this story together." "What are you asking me?" Amma said, though she knew. She just wanted to hear him say it. "Marry me." Jiho pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring, simple and beautiful, a single stone that caught the light. "Not right away. Whenever you're ready. In a year, in 5 years, I don't care. But marry me eventually. Build a life with me. Let me be a father to Nala if she'll have me. Let me spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you." Amma looked at the ring, at this man who'd gone to war for her, who'd destroyed parts of his empire to find her husband's body, who'd listened to a little girl whisper about her sick mother and decided to do something about it. "Yes," she said. "Yes? Yes. I'll marry you. Not today, not tomorrow. But yes, eventually, when the time is right. Yes." Jiho's smile was like the sun coming out. He slipped the ring on her finger, and it fit perfectly. "How did you know my size?" "I'm very good at paying attention to details." She laughed and pulled him up to sit beside her. "We're going to scandalize everyone. The criminal boss and the widow. They'll talk. Let them talk. I've never cared about gossip. Nala will have thoughts, many thoughts. I'm counting on it. She keeps me honest." As if summoned, Nala appeared in the doorway. She looked at them sitting close, at the ring on Amma's finger, and her face split into a huge grin. "Are you getting married?" she demanded. "Eventually," Amma said. "How do you feel about that?" Nala ran over and climbed onto the couch between them. "Does this mean Mr. Yoon will be my dad?" Jiho looked at Amma, uncertain. Amma nodded. "If you want me to be," Jiho said carefully. "I know I can't replace your father. He was a hero, and he loved you even though he never got to meet you. But I'd be honored to be part of your family." Nala considered this with the seriousness of a child making an important decision. "Can I still call you Mr. Yoon?" "You can call me whatever you want." "Okay, then yes." You can be my dad. But also Mr. Yoon, because that's your name. That's very logical. I'm very smart. Mommy says I get it from my daddy. Your mommy is right. Nala hugged them both, fierce and tight. We're a family now. Yes, Amma said, tears sliding down her face. Ma, we are. 6 months later, the memorial garden opened. It was beautiful, traditional Korean design mixed with elements from the victims' home countries. 4 trees, 4 stone markers, 4 names that would never be forgotten. Kwame Mensah, journalist, husband, father, truth seeker. Amma stood in front of his marker with Nala on one side and Jiho on the other. Other families were there too, tears and flowers and quiet remembrance. I found him, Amma said to the stone. I did what I promised. You're not forgotten. You'll never be forgotten. Nala placed flowers at the base. Hi, Daddy. I'm 7 now. I'm smart and brave, just like you. Mr. Yoon takes care of us. He's nice. I think you'd like him. Jiho stood silent, respectful, giving them space for their grief. Later, as they walked through the garden, and Nala ran ahead to look at the butterflies that had been planted specifically to attract. Do you think he'd approve? Jiho asked. Of us? I think he'd want me to be happy. And I am. Sad sometimes, missing him always, but happy too. Amma took his hand. Thank you for giving me this. The truth, the memorial, the closure. Thank you for teaching me that power is only meaningful when you use it for something that matters. Look at us, getting philosophical in a garden. We're very deep, she laughed. We're very something. They set a wedding date for the following spring. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Nala would be the flower girl, of course. She'd already planned her dress, her flowers, her role in every detail. Amma went back to work in public health, her credentials finally validated, her experience finally recognized. She specialized in migrant worker health and safety, using her story to advocate for better protections, better oversight, better treatment. Jiho restructured his organization, cutting out the illegal operations one by one, shifting to legitimate businesses. It was slow, painful, and cost him alliances. But he did it anyway. I'm becoming boring, he complained one night over dinner. You run a multi-billion-won empire. You're not boring. I'm legitimate now. That's basically boring. You still have connections to organized crime. You still intimidate people with a look. You're fine. When you put it that way. Nala, listening to this exchange, rolled her eyes. You're both weird. Thank you, sweetheart, Amma said. You're welcome. The night before the wedding, Amma stood in the apartment looking at 2 photos. Her wedding photo with Kwame, young and in love and full of hope, and a recent photo of her, Jiho, and Nala at the beach, windswept and laughing. 2 lives, 2 loves, both real, both meaningful. She touched Kwame's photo gently. I'll always love you. You gave me so much, including the courage to love again. Rest well, my brave journalist. I've got it from here. The wedding was perfect. Small, intimate, full of joy. Nala took her role very seriously, making sure every flower was perfect, every detail just right. When Jiho and Amma stood together, promising to love and honor each other, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. I promise to challenge you, Amma said. I promise to listen, Jiho replied. No, I promise to trust you. I promise to be worthy of it. I promise to build a life with you. I promise to protect that life with everything I have. They kissed, and Nala cheered louder than anyone. At the reception, Amma's sister pulled her aside. I'm proud of you, she said. You went to a foreign country alone. You found the truth. You brought our brother home, and you found love again. Kwame would be so proud. I think so too. Are you happy? Amma looked across the room at Jiho, who was seriously discussing something with Nala, probably being lectured about proper flower girl protocol. "Yes," she said, "I really am." That night, after the celebration, after Nala was tucked into bed in her new room in their new house, Amma and Jiho stood on the balcony looking at Seoul's lights. "Mrs. Yoon," Jiho said, testing out the name. "That's going to take getting used to." "You could keep Mensa." "No, I'll hyphenate. Mensa Yoon. Both my loves, both my lives, together." "I like that." "Good, because I already filled out the paperwork." He laughed and pulled her close. "What happens now? Now we live, we work, we raise Nala. We probably argue about everything because we're both stubborn. We maybe have more children if we're brave enough. We grow old together. That sounds perfect." "It does, doesn't it?" They stood together, two broken people who'd found each other in the worst circumstances and chose to build something beautiful anyway. Inside, Nala slept peacefully, secure in the knowledge that she was loved, that her father was honored, and that her family, however unconventional, was whole. And somewhere, by in a memorial garden in Seoul, the wind rustled through trees planted for those who'd been lost. 4 names carved in stone, 4 lives remembered, 4 truths finally told. The little girl had whispered about her sick mother who still worked. The Mafia boss had heard and gone to war. And in the end, they'd all found what they were searching for. Justice, truth, closure, and against all odds, love. Not the kind of love that erases pain or fixes everything, but the kind that says, "I see your scars, I honor your grief, and I choose you anyway." The kind of love worth fighting for, the kind of love worth believing in, the kind of love that sometimes begins with a whisper. If this story touched your heart, if you laughed or cried, or felt something along the way, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss another story. Leave a comment telling me what you thought. And share this with someone who needs to remember that even in the darkest times, there's always hope for a new beginning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, every ending is just another way of starting over.